Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. So, the phone call between the President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, and the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, concluded. Today, being the Monday, the 19th of May 2025, the conversation lasted for more than 2 hours. I have here Trump's statements, Putin's Kremlin's statements, and then Putin's 3.5 minutes video where he comes and says what he got out of the conversation, out of the talks. I can tell you from the very beginning, successful conversation. Peace in our times. We'll see what the Europeans have to say, because after the conversation, Trump called the Europeans, some baboons, including Zelensky, Z-stein, and told them this is what's gonna be. So, I made another video earlier today with bad sound. God damn it. Now this, I hope, is going to be with the right sound. So, I looked for the information in the American media and I couldn't find it. I found it in the Russian media and the Truth Social. So, let's start with the first article coming from Russia Today. Russia Today, 19th of May 2025. Negotiations between Russia and Ukraine will begin immediately, Trump on Putin call. The US and Russian leaders have held a lengthy phone call Monday focused on the Ukraine conflict. US President Donald Trump has said the conversation with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, and I'm quoting, went very well, and the talks between Moscow and Kiev will begin immediately. That's fantastic news. We'll see how people will agree or disagree with that. I mean, they can say it. We'll see if the guys agree. The two leaders spoke for over 2 hours on Monday, primarily about the Ukraine conflict. Putin also described the talks as, and I'm quoting, very useful. In a post on Truth Social, shortly after Monday's talks, Trump wrote that the tone and spirit of the conversation were, quote-unquote, excellent, adding, and I'm quoting, if it wasn't, I would say so now rather than later, end quote. And I'm quoting Trump again. Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations toward a ceasefire end. More importantly, an end to the war. The conditions for that will be negotiated between the two parties, as it can only be because they know the details of a negotiation that nobody else would be aware of, he said. Here is the post. Russia, and I'm quoting, wants to do large-scale trade with the US, Trump had claimed, adding that a potential settlement of the conflict would help Ukraine to become, and I'm quoting, a great beneficiary of trade as well. And I'm quoting, there is a tremendous opportunity for Russia to create massive amounts of jobs and wealth. Its potential is unlimited, Trump wrote. The US president also said that, and I'm quoting, immediately after the call with Putin, he spoke with Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, French President Emmanuel Macron, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, and Finnish President Alexander Stubb, informing them about the conversation with his Russian counterpart. You know who's missing here? The British Prime Minister. Did you see him anywhere? Opa! So the British Prime Minister was not even called. Great. And I'm quoting Trump. Let the process begin. Monday call initially announced by Trump on Saturday was described by Putin as, quote-unquote, frank and quite useful. I'm going to play the video ready for you right here in a minute. Boom. According to a statement issued by the Kremlin following the call, the Russian president said he thanked Trump for, and I'm quoting, US support in resuming direct negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. That means US made the Ukrainians go and talk. Putin said Moscow is ready to work with Kiev on a memorandum that envisions a future peace agreement between the two countries. You got that? Right there. And I'm quoting, in general, Russia's position is clear. The main thing for us is to eliminate the root causes of this crisis, end quote, Putin stated. What are the root causes? NATO. NATO in Ukraine, NATO in Eastern Europe. You'll see they will do something about it, unless there's going to be another Iron Curtain. So, that's the first article. Let's go to the second article, coming again from the evil Russians. telling us about the key points, and these guys agreed upon. Now, one thing is to talk, the other thing is to really do it. So, Sputnik, Putin, Russia ready to negotiate memorandum with Ukraine, including ceasefire. Trapazapa makafaka. And this is it. All right. Key points. Russia supports halting hostilities, but stresses the need to develop the most effective paths towards peace. Correct. Russia advocates for a peaceful resolution of the Ukrainian crisis. Russia is ready to work on a memorandum with Ukraine that includes a ceasefire. Russia and Ukraine need to find compromises acceptable to all parties. So what do you think? What do you think? Again, Vladimir Putin emphasized that Russia's position on the situation in Ukraine is clear. The main priority is to eliminate the root causes of the crisis. Then he has to talk to Trump, not with these guys. All right, again, Putin emphasized we are on the right track. I will play the video and you're gonna see. So, again, everything is good. The conversation was over there. Potential in-person meeting between the two presidents was discussed. Peskov said that such a meeting would need to be properly prepared. Excellent. And again, it ends with the root causes of the conflict. Clear? Clear. And the root causes is not Ukraine, it's NATO. NATO enlargement towards and advancement towards the Russians, but somehow the Russians are the imperialist ones. I know it's a defensive organization. Now, let's listen to Mr. Putin's statement, and I will do it not like this because it's going to be with English translation. It's going to be like this. Let me center it so it doesn't bother your beautiful eyes. Ready, set, and go!
Добрый вечер. Меня коллеги просили сказать несколько слов о результатах нашего телефонного разговора с президентом Соединенных Штатов. Действительно, этот разговор состоялся, продолжался более 2 часов. Хочу отметить, что он был очень содержательным и весьма откровенным. И в целом, на мой взгляд, в этой связи весьма полезным. Прежде всего, я поблагодарил президента Соединенных Штатов за поддержку со стороны США возобновления прямых переговоров между Россией и Украиной по поводу возможного заключения мирного соглашения. По поводу возобновления переговоров, которые были прерваны украинской стороной, как известно, еще в 2022 году. Президент Соединенных Штатов высказал свою позицию по поводу прекращения боевых действий, перемирия, и со своей стороны отметил также, что и Россия выступает за мирное урегулирование украинского кризиса. Мы должны просто определить наиболее эффективные пути движения к миру. Договорились с президентом Соединенных Штатов о том, что Россия предложит и готова работать с украинской стороной над меморандумом по поводу возможного будущего мирного договора с определением ряда позиций, таких как, например, принципы урегулирования, сроки возможного заключения мирного соглашения и так далее, включая и возможное прекращение огня на определенное время в случае достижения соответствующих договоренностей. Кстати говоря, контакты между участниками встречи и переговоров в Стамбуле, они возобновились, и это дает основание полагать, что мы в целом на правильном пути. Еще раз хочу подчеркнуть, что беседа была очень конструктивной, и я ее оцениваю высоко. Вопрос, конечно, в том, чтобы российская и украинская сторона проявили максимум стремления к миру и нашли бы те компромиссы, которые бы устроили все стороны. При этом хочу отметить, что в целом позиция России ясна. Главное для нас устранить первопричины этого кризиса. Ну, если потребуется что-то уточнить, то пресс-секретарь Песков и мой помощник господин Ушаков разъяснят чуть позднее какие-то детали наших сегодняшних переговоров с президентом Трампом по телефону.
Excellent, excellent, my friends. So, he has to convince, and that is not Putin, but Trump, has to convince the guys in Great Britain to tell the baboon in Ukraine to stop and go and negotiate in good faith. Not as the Poles negotiated with the evil Nazis, the Gdansk territory, the Gdansk, how do you call it? I got myself in a corridor. Not like that. So, did you see? Trump did not call Starmer. Why is that? Nevertheless, it's one thing that they spoke. It's excellent. But now we'll see if the Americans could go and convince everybody else that they should back off and it's time to do something else. Like, for instance, this is how Trump is going to call the guys. Hey, you're going to do A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. And the guys in Europe, click. That's it. I tell you what to do. Very interesting. Great Britain was not over there. It doesn't really matter. The negotiations will occur. I don't think they will reach anything without the Ukrainians losing a lot. The Ukrainian nation, not the guys in charge. So what am I talking about? The Russians will demand, therefore, justifications. Remember, they invaded unprovoked and unjustifiable and all that. They will demand NATO presence in Ukraine, niet. Like that, let me have you. Niet. Okay, first. Secondly, denazification. What does that mean? Some people have a certain kind of ideology in Ukraine government, and the Russians don't like that. That's Stepan Bandera and others. Ideology, statues and so on, names of streets. Then they have the reality in the front line. Donbas, Crimea will never go anywhere. It's going to be here. And demilitarization. Ukraine will not have an army. And remember, there's not going to be peacekeeping forces from NATO countries. I guarantee you that. If that's the case, that means that they are at square one. Because that was the main point. We're not going to allow NATO to get in Ukraine. And now, do you think the Russians would allow NATO to get in legally? I mean, that's square one right there. They just moved the front a little bit over there. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe it's going to be the Chinese. Maybe, I don't know, it's going to be the guys from Zimbabwe as peacekeeping forces, but it's not going to be the other guys. Now, it's going to be hard for the Ukrainians, but actions have consequences. Since you have these guys in charge of you that you voted for, Zelensky Stein, Yermak Stein, Denis Shmihal Stein, Reznikov Stein, then you have Umerov. You have these guys in charge of you? What did you expect? Well, I know the democratic system. So, it's going to be hard. And Ukraine, if it wants to remain somehow a country, I don't think it's going to be ever independent unless, something happens in Russia or United States of America, which is one of them wins the war. The war, not this one, other kind of war. Ukraine will not be a country, independent country again. It's going to be controlled by the Russians mainly, and the other guys will stay away. Does it mean that this is a peace treaty? Could be a peace treaty, but after a peace you can always start a war. So it could appear as being peace, but it could start again. Why? Russia is too strong, and the interests behind all this is not NATO. NATO is just the military arm of this interest. Once this ends, they're going to try some other areas in different ways. It's a war. It's not like this is the peace of our time. Here's a paper. Now remember, Chamberlain is not going to be like that. Because it's still a war. Some people have profits to make. And they will go over everybody's heads to accomplish their interest. We'll see, my friends. Unfortunately, I'm sad for the Ukrainian nation, which are the biggest losers in this one. Unfortunately, a lot of people died and the tragedies, but these guys will try again. And other Ukrainians, they're going to use some other Romanians, maybe the Baltic states, maybe the guys in the Caucasus, and so on. They will try. In Kazakhstan, they will try little by little. So good that they talked. Trump said, okay, we're going to start this. We'll see how the baboons in Europe will follow through. And I wonder why Starmer did not pick up the phone, or he was not called. That's a signal that he is out of the circle of friends. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.